There is a moment before every collapse that history remembers too late. There is something unsettling about the calm before disaster strikes. Markets continue to trade just days before they collapse. People plan weddings and holidays while borders quietly weaken. Cities function normally while the systems beneath them begin to rot. This eerie stillness appears again and again throughout history, right before everything falls apart. And it raises a disturbing question. Why do people freeze when they should run? Why do we wait when we should act? The answer is not cowardice, it is not ignorance, and it is not stupidity. Inaction during collapse comes from something far deeper, a web of psychological traps, social illusions, and a dangerous trust in the systems that once kept us alive. The human brain is built for stability, not for sudden collapse. Psychologists call this normalcy bias, the mind's refusal to accept that disaster is real. When something unprecedented begins to unfold, the brain labels it as unlikely, temporary, impossible. Tomorrow will look like yesterday, it always has. So it must. This mental shortcut keeps us functional in ordinary life. But when the rules change, it becomes lethal. We've seen this before. On the Titanic, as water flooded the lower decks, some passengers calmly returned to their cabins. Others finished their meals. The ship was unsinkable, and so their minds rejected the evidence in front of them. This wasn't stupidity, it was pattern dependency. The human mind needs continuity. When reality breaks the pattern completely, denial becomes the easiest response. But individual psychology is only part of the story. Collapse is social, and social behavior makes paralysis worse. In crowds, people search for cues. If no one else is panicking, we assume everything is under control. This is the bystander effect. The more people present, the less likely anyone is to act. During systemic crises, this effect multiplies. We assume authorities have a plan, that experts know something we don't, that someone, somewhere, is managing the situation. So we wait, and waiting feels rational, because acting alone feels pointless. This creates collective helplessness. When systems fail on a massive scale, individual action feels insignificant. What can one person do against forces this large? So, societies freeze, not because they lack information, but because responsibility dissolves into the crowd. Accepting collapse is psychologically expensive. It means accepting loss of lifestyle, of identity, of future plans. To protect itself, the mind activates cognitive dissonance, the tension between what we see and what we want to believe. Things are falling apart. I'm going to be fine. To reduce the discomfort, the brain simply stops believing the first sentence. Denial is less painful than fear. Modern life makes this easier than ever. We are flooded with information. Experts disagree, data conflicts, narratives blur. This overload creates paralysis. When everything feels uncertain, doing nothing feels safer than choosing wrong. Most people today are completely dependent on the system. Food, income, medicine, shelter, everything flows through centralized structures. This creates a cognitive prison. Psychologists call it functional fixedness. When your survival depends on a system, imagining life outside it becomes almost impossible. Even a failing system feels safer than uncertainty. A slow disaster feels more manageable than an unknown future. So we choose the familiar collapse over the unfamiliar void. History is full of societies that failed not because they lacked warnings, but because they ignored them. As Rome's borders collapsed, elites obsessed over status and entertainment. The empire was dying, but dinner parties continued. In 1929, investors dismissed every warning sign. Markets had always recovered before, until they didn't. In Constantinople, as Ottoman forces stood at the gates, factions argued theology while the walls fell. On Easter Island, people kept building massive stone statues while cutting down the last trees. They destroyed their ecosystem to preserve a ritual that no longer served them. By the time reality became undeniable, there was nothing left to save. Today, we are not different. We acknowledge climate collapse, then return to routine. We read warnings about artificial intelligence, then scroll past them. We sense instability everywhere, yet cling to normal life with quiet desperation. We are the frog in slowly boiling water. unaware of the rising temperature until movement feels impossible. Inaction changes who we are. When we refuse to act, we stop being agents of history and become objects within it. Things that events happen to. The first step toward survival is not panic, it is mental liberation. It means breaking the illusion that the system will always protect you. It means seeing reality clearly, even when it is uncomfortable. Those who wait for permission to act, those who need the crowd to move first, those who trust that someone else has a plan, they will be unprepared when the moment arrives. Collapse rarely arrives with panic, it arrives with calm. Normalcy bias tells the brain that tomorrow will look like yesterday, even as the system quietly fractures and cognitive dissonance steps in to protect us, convincing us that the warning signs are exaggerated, that things will somehow work out. Then comes learned helplessness. After watching institutions fail again and again, people stop believing action matters at all. They wait, they adapt, they endure, until endurance becomes surrender. And all of this happens slowly. Like the frog in boiling water, the danger doesn't feel urgent because it doesn't arrive all at once. By the time the heat is undeniable, movement feels impossible. This is how societies freeze. Not because people are stupid, not because they are weak, but because the human mind is designed to preserve normal life, even when normal life is already ending. History doesn't collapse suddenly, it collapses while people are still planning tomorrow. And the most dangerous moment is not the chaos at the end, it's the silence before anyone decides to act.